Alright, here we go. Today I'm going to bring you a 2v2 on Duel between the red team in the top left, mrbrush and Jishnua, going double striker, and the blue team on the right of Cryoth and rabbitrage, Cryoth in the helix and rabbitrage in the striker. So 3 strikers in a non-striker meta, so it's a little interesting. This was a matched game, so neither team knew the other team's loadouts. Blue team is going your generic moneymaker build, and as well as the red team. The red team also does have a lunchbox on the field, and Jishnua actually building a boxer for those creeps that will come out, as well as a hat to stop any harass. And rabbitrage actually did go down to a heavy mine there when he was trying to set them off, so that is a little hilarious. And Cryoth brings some flamers to stop any cheese, I guess. The Jishnua is trying to harass those moneymakers, but Cryoth in the helix is able to shoot his rockets and deter him away. And mrbrush doing the same thing at the base. However, Cryoth quick to respawn with rabbitrage, and so mrbrush does run away before he dies as well. Jishnua doing some more harass at this outpost moneymakers. Rabbitrage barely able to save that one, and mrbrush also coming here, so they might be able to get one. But rabbitrage doing a great job of microing those moneymakers away before the red team can kill any, so the blue team doing a great job of anti-harassing. Cryoth now dropping some dillos to start this mid-fight, and as well as a ratchet. And so mrbrush is dropping to try and distract those tanks so that the neutrals will kill them. And a few tanks actually do go down, so that was a little bad for the blue team. They do have a clump of smoking tanks here now. The red team only has 2 Gemini, however, but Jishnua has 4 full boxers here at his base, so he probably will push those out. They really need to start pushing that out, though. mrbrush does go down to rabbitrage there. I missed that. And so the blue team is getting a good surround on the mid, and so the red team really needs to push out those boxers, which is what Jishnua is doing right now. So before the blue team gets control of this mid and they get a good surround on it, they really need they decide to push these units, and they do have a full queue of tanks in their build queue, and rabbitrage almost goes down there to mrbrush. And now the boxers are coming here with stacked creeps as well. So these boxers are dying and the creeps are exploding, and the red team does take control of this outpost and they are pulling out their tanks. The blue team does have a good surround of tanks at this mid, but the red team has a greater amount of tanks, and they have Longhorn and Gemini, while the blue team had just Dillos and a few Longhorn. But look how much damage is going down. Cryoth did a Dillo drop as soon as the red team got mid, so he knew they would be distracted. So Cryoth dropped 4 Dillos, actually, at this base. And almost 2/3 of their health are gone before the red team responds. And so the red team is really behind in their base health now. So they are able to place their lunchbox and stop that damage, but they are almost at only 1/4 of their health left. And Cryoth doing another Dillo drop, trying to get some more damage. And he is able to get a little more, but Jishnua is there to stop that damage before too much goes out. He is slashing his sword. And rabbitrage is now doing a Longhorn drop. But the blue team is really behind on the mid-fight now, because they spent all that time doing the drops, so red team was able to take control of mid. So because they weren't able to kill the red team's base and get rid of all of their health, they are really on their back foot now, because the red team has map control. And so the blue team really needs to play this out. They really need to make a big push so that they can micro those tanks when they get to the base and get just a little bit more damage. So they do have a tech pod out on the field, and they do have Bertha and Goliath in their loadout, so I'm assuming they will be able to build some Bertha, and rabbitrage is actually just built one now. And the red team has not built a tech pod yet. They are only going with the lighter tanks of Gemini and Longhorn, while Cryoth and rabbitrage will be able to get out some Goliaths if they want to. Jishnua does have some Archies to combat those Berthas. There are 2 Berthas out in the field now, but a Sonya does go out for the red team, and the blue team does not have a Sonya out on the field yet. So Now, those Berthas aren't going to do much damage, they'll just do a little bit of AoE. And Goliath was placed on hold here at the red base. Rabbitrage did go down while he was trying to escape as well. Or I believe that was Cryoth. I don't know. But jishnua easily able to strafe around that Goliath and kill it in just a short amount of time, and rabbitrage doing a little bit of scouting to see what's there, and almost goes down in the process, because there are a lot of hats out on the field for the red team. And so the red team does have a Sonya out on the field, and the blue team has one as well, so these artillery aren't going to do too much damage. Cryoth is actually bombing, though. The red team does not have an Aegis in their loadout, so these bombs will be really hard to counter, except with anti-air, and they do have hats, but the Helix has a lot of armor, so they're going to need a lot of hats to stop Cryoth from doing this, but Cryoth is no longer building bombs because he does almost go down there to those hats with that double striker fire, so the red team really does control the air. And Mr. Brush was able to kill all 3 moneymakers and that lunchbox there at the blue's base, so they could really push out. There's nothing at the blue base. Cryoth did drop a Goliath over here, and did go down, and rabbitrage also goes down to jishnua. Jishnua got a double kill there, and that Goliath was also killed without killing any units of the red teams. So the red team has a big unit advantage. They have 70 units to the 45 that the blue team has, and they are building generators because they were unit capped a little bit ago. They are trying to build more tanks. I'm assuming they're going to go for a push. The blue team also needs to push because they are going to need to get that map control. Rabbitrage trying to do a drop, but he does go down there before the Goliath was able to be dropped, and so did lose that Goliath as well as his life because he is in Alexi Striker, so he doesn't have that much armor. Cryoth doing some more bombs now, but just 2, I guess, and he is now mass commanding all of his units and sending them either on T or Y, but they are going straight for the mid, and so the red team doesn't have a great surround at this line of attack here for the blue team, so the blue team could be able to take this. It looks like they are on Y because that Dillo is going over there, and Mr. Brush trying to slash with his sword, but they're just, because Goliath are so much better. Cryoth does go down to a jumper there, and jishnua is bombing these units. And there was a drop here at the red team's base of a Goliath, so almost all of their health is now gone. They have like a 5th left. jishnua trying to get that body block, but he can't, so he drops a Longhorn and is able to put that in front of the Goliath, so no more damage, will go down. And all of these tanks have blown through the red team's mid defense, and they are even moving up here, so there are 2 Goliaths now and a Longhorn, but there is enough defense here that the red team will be able to stop this because the blue team is instead going for this mid. The red team still has control of this mid because there is only 1 tank here, and jishnua is able to almost finish off that Goliath, so there are only a few tanks here for the blue team, but everything is dead for the red team. So if the blue team can neutralize this outpost and get some infantry in here, they will be able to take this and get map control, and rabbitrage does exactly that, so perfect gameplay there, but almost all of the tanks are dead now. They only have 1 Goliath to defend this mid. jishnua almost goes down to Cryoth there, but he is able to get away. And jishnua bringing a tank to try and neutralize and kill the rest of these blue tanks. And jishnua almost goes down again to Cryoth in that Helix. And so the blue team is able to take this outpost, and they do have 2 Goliath to defend as well as a hat. And the last of the red team's units at the mid here are killed. And Cryoth is killing those creeps there. And so jishnua deciding to come over here and shoot at the base, because why not? And he does see that there are no defenses, and the red team actually has a Gemini that was able to finish off one of these moneymakers at the blue team's outpost. So they also know that there are no defenses for any of the blue team's outpost, and jishnua almost able to take out that tech pod, but Cryoth comes back to respawn, and jishnua does go down to Cryoth there with the help of that Gorgon. And Mr. Brush now trying to kill that tech pod, but it also doesn't have any success. And the red team finally does have a tech pod out in the field, so they have built a Bertha, and Mr. Brush building some jumpers as well. So now the red team has almost no units on the field, except they supposedly have 61. That is mostly base defense, though. And as I said earlier, Mr. Brush did bring these jumpers over here to try and neutralize this outpost, and none of them were killed while he was neutralizing it with that Gemini that was placed there a long time ago that the blue team did not see. And that one jumper is being a little slow to get in there, but the blue team has not responded until now. Cryoth brings a Goliath, but it's too late. The blue team has taken control of that outpost, and that the blue team's tech pod was killed earlier by the red team, and Cryoth does go down there, but the outpost is neutralized with the help of both blue teams, and he does have creeps going in, but one creep is killed by Mr. Brush slashing, and there is a Boxer as well as a Sam and a Gemini here for the red team, and that Goliath will go down of the blues if Cryoth doesn't micro it away, and he does not micro it away yet. He is bringing some tanks and a flamer here, and Mr. Brush is almost dead, but Cryoth is out of energy, so he can't use his rockets against Mr. Brush. So there's kind of a game of chicken, and all of the blue team's units were killed while he was playing chicken, because rabbitrage was off doing something useless, and Mr. Brush actually able to take that outpost with his teammates' help and recharge his health, so he does not go down there. Great dogfighting by Mr. Brush. And that is why you should always be wary of your energy in a helix to get that final blow. And Cryoth trying to kill that tech pod for the red teams, but jishnua is right there to micro it away, and that Goliath will go down if it is not microed away. rabbitrage almost going down there to jishnua, but drops his Goliath and turns and burns, which is what you should do. And they are doing a last-ditch tank push, but they do see that there's a lot of base defense there, so they are stopping these units, but there's no anti-air there. So jishnua will be able to slash with his sword, and Mr. Brush, in the meantime, has dropped 4 Goliaths at the base because the blue team didn't really care about that outpost. They didn't really try and take it back once it was taken by the red team. And so it looks like these 4 Goliaths, they really need to block with their bodies and their tanks, but they didn't do a good job of that. And it looks like the red team will be able to take this victory over Cryoth and rabbitrage. Good job by Mr. Brush and jishnua. So some really non-meta play with the strikers there, and so it was a good game. Lots of back and forth with the map controls. So please like and subscribe and refer me a game if you're new, and I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching.